Hi everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Yep. So like Pastor Makuni said, I'm Tensengu, and my wife Lang Kyung and I, we just got back actually last Sunday, but we were jet lagged like crazy. But we were there for a few weeks in Korea, and also a few days in Taiwan, where I'm from originally, and Hong Kong, just for fun. But yeah, in Korea, it was not lost on me that, we're still in the midst of a spiritual battle, right, with True Mother and our whole movement, the future of our movement, legally and and otherwise. So yeah, we had a lot of fun meeting up with my wife's family and traveling, but I wanted to make it a point to visit True Mother, show our support. So that's what we did. So maybe I could talk briefly first about going to Cheonpyeong. We wanted to visit the Cheonshim One because we weren't there for the opening, like a lot of you were, but we wanted to just check it out. But then I didn't realize that you have to kind of like book weeks in advance, and it has to be like a big party of 50 people or more. So we were like, oh, we're kind of out of luck, but you know what? Let's just wing it. Let's just go and see what happens. So we did that. So we first went to the training center. There's, where the gift shop is. And then Lang Kyung actually bumps into an auntie of hers that she knew from Sun Moon back in the day. And then that sister was able to basically hook us up with another friend of hers that works at the Cheonshim One, like one of the shops there. And she was able to give us a tour, not of the sanctuary, unfortunately, but at least we were able to go in and go to the B2, right? Yeah, B2, like kind of like some of the floors. And that was awesome. We got to see True Mother's vision for basically a temple for God to dwell. Right, never before in history was there such a place. And it was top of the line stuff for everything. Even the bathrooms had bidets and like gold plated everything. Just a lot of dignity, right? God deserves the best, right? So that's kind of what I felt. So we did that, and then the following day we were in Seoul, and I want to hit up the hospital where True Mother's, currently currently recovering there, and there's a lot of different buildings, so we're not sure exactly if we went to the right one, but we went to the newest main building, and we didn't really try to pry into exactly where she is because I'm sure security reasons and we want to protect True Mother that way, but just want to show up there, offer our jeongsum, right, offer our sincerity, offer our support. Kind of like, when Jesus was entombed somewhere, his followers came, right, to show the support. That kind of motivation. Or when Father was in Hungnam and his followers came there, just with that kind of heart. And just want to offer. I made a little video too. I put it on social media, just to kind of give morale boost, right, to the members who are wondering what's going on with Mother, right. And Makuni shared that she's walking again, right? She's able to meet, under the table, right? But it's been arranged. She's able to make some moves and keep going. So that was very morale boosting to hear that, right? So I wanted to just kind of give that hope to members about True Mother. And let's keep her in our thoughts and prayers. And yes, there's a lot wrong with the church. I'll be the first to tell you about that, right? But priority now is making sure Mother gets out. Let's hope she gets house arrest at most. Right? Let's hope the judge can go with his original mind, not on public opinion, not on like, oh, they're a cult, they're a fringe group, let's punish them, right? That's not justice, right? That's just public opinion. Let's pray that they go with the facts, they go with the evidence, right? Then if they do that, I'm pretty sure there'll be a good outcome that God will be happy with, we'll be happy with. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sensei. Yeah. Go at him on social media. Go watch that video. Sensei's a passionate guy. I love your videos. So, thank you for that, and I apologize. I think I'm the one who told you the Chunwon is open 24/7. Oh, I'm sorry. I love it. I just love it. Okay, so with that, yes, we can now transition into receiving our main message for today. So, I think, yes, if I'm emceeing, then surely I'm not introducing myself, right? I'm introducing the pastor here, that's right. And I was talking to somebody and they were like, wow, so Mikuni, you're a pastor now, and your wife is the first lady. And I had to correct them. No. She's the pastor. I'm the first husband. Okay? Let's not get it twisted here. So let us welcome the pastor of this church, my wife, Jasmine.
He's been making that joke a lot. And I told him he shouldn't call it first husband. He should maybe call first man or something. First husband's a little bit yeah. This is not great.
Maybe the only husband.
The only husband. The only begotten husband.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Tensing, for your testimony. I think, we asked him to share because I know on our hearts, all of us would love to be there directly at the hospital, and we'd love to pray and see the situation there. So we really felt Tensing going on in Langkyong and the whole family going was kind of on behalf of San Diego, that we can also feel our hearts are there too. But yes, so for today's message, it was actually inspired by the fact that we're having our Chumbo workshop this weekend. Hopefully all of you have heard about it now. We tried our best to make sure everyone heard about it. But if you're wondering what it is, it's basically going to be a workshop about the spirit world, delving into the spirit world, prayer, and devotion. Because of our founders, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, Dr. Hak Jahan, who we affectionately call true parents, they have taught us that there is a spirit world, right? That there is the existence of a spirit world. But actually, I really believe they went beyond that. And they taught us that there's a spirit world. It influences or it affects us, actually, in a very deep way. And vice versa, that actually we can impact and influence the spirit world in a greater way than I think we're aware of. And I think in Eastern culture, it's more widely believed, right? We have our ancestors that we believe help and guide us. I remember being a kid and my mom would always prepare like an extra portion of food. And she had a place where she would offer it to our ancestors. And as a child, I was always like, oh, but the food doesn't actually disappear, it's still there. Actually, in the end, it becomes like our seconds. But it was this heart, right? And I think it's fairly common in Eastern culture to kind of think that way. But yeah, our true parents really expanded this idea. So there are good spirits that really want to help us. There are also maybe evil, or I prefer the term resentful spirits that try to hurt us. And we have an impact on them, actually, with what we do. So our actions don't just affect us, but many times, unbeknownst to us, they affect the spirit world and the spirits around us. So we can do good things, we're grateful, we can forgive others, or kind of in these different acts, we actually help the spirits around us as well to grow. But then vice versa, right? If we hurt others or in this way kind of expand this cycle of selfishness or hurt, then we actually also hurt the spirit world, right? Or we're just raising that resentment. And so, yeah, I've always been fascinated by the spirit world because I feel like there's so much to it and it's so interesting to learn about. But in many ways, there's still so much we don't know, right? Maybe we won't know until we go there one day. But yeah, I think it's so interesting to learn about. And yeah, if I can share a little bit of my personal story. Yeah, for as long as I can remember, I've believed in the spirit world. I remember being like 8 or 9 years old in elementary school. And this was the time that there were like kind of scary stories circulating, that if you would go into the bathroom alone and you would look in the mirror and say certain things, a certain spirit will pop up, or you'll see something, and it was kind of that age. And so I don't know why, when I was, I think I was 8 or 9, I found myself alone in the bathroom, and I just kind of looked in the mirror, and I don't know where it came from, but I just kind of said, God, if you're real, show me. God, if you're real, show me. I don't know where it came from, but I think I was genuinely asking, God, if you're real, I want to know. There has to be a way you can show me. And so I was this little kid confronting God in the bathroom. I don't know why. But I remember that at that moment, nothing happened, right? And I went on with my day. I went to class, and then I went to lunch, and, the end of the day. But I remember actually at the end of that day, when I was walking home from school, I noticed the white butterfly. And as I walked home, it followed me home, actually. It followed me most of the way. I don't know, for me, that was my answer. And actually, a white butterfly is particularly special for my mom and me. The white butterfly is the symbol we have for my older brother who's in the spirit world. So when it followed me home, I had my answer. Like I knew my answer. So I haven't had that type of confrontation with God since, because it was answered at that time. But I think that actually really describes my life of faith well. That's a good story kind of to paint the picture. I know some of you have actually told me that you knew my older brother, you met him, or I know the Kennys were telling me they babysat him when he took his first steps. Before I was born, my parents had my brother, Sunili. And he, as a baby, had a near drowning accident, and it left him immobile. So he couldn't speak, he couldn't eat, he couldn't sit upright, basically couldn't do anything. But my parents took really good care of him, and they did everything they could. So they traveled around the world, trying all sorts of treatments, they really took care of him the best they could. And at 8 years old, he passed away. And I was actually born 2 years after that, so I never got to meet him. His name is kind of crazy, Sunili. It's the Korean reading of Chinese characters, and what it means is the unity of Japan and Italy, because my dad's Italian and my mom's Japanese. So they named him the unity of Japan and Italy. But if you know my dad, born and raised in Italy, but is a very patriotic, proud American. So he felt the US should be included in his name too, because he's not just Italian, Japanese, he's also American. So do you know what they gave him as his middle name?
USA.
USA. Yeah, they actually named him Washington. Washington. I don't know, when I heard that, I thought, you couldn't do George? Like, you couldn't do the other part of the more the normal name? It was Washington, but that was his name. So Sunili Washington Santoro. Yeah.
And I used to play music for him every single night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, that's
very
special.
moving. To me, it was incredible. I'll never forget that. He would play music every night to put him to sleep. I lived in the workplace that I used to teach the art principal.
Oh, Huntington Drive.
Huntington Drive.
Right. Yeah. So my parents, they actually still have songs that they consider like Sunili's songs, and they'll play to remember him. But so all my life I grew up actually with this sense that my older brother was watching me. Tremother talks about, if you read her memoir, she talks about how from a very young age, her grandma and mom would tell her, God is your father. So she naturally grew up with this belief or this feeling, right, of closeness with God, and God's her dad watching over her. In a kind of similar way, I think all my life I grew up with my parents telling me, Sanchan, which is what we nickname, Sanchan is watching over me and taking care of me. So I grew up really believing that. You know, even if I never got to meet him, I grew up with this feeling of, I have an older brother who loves me and he takes care of me. He watches over me. And yeah, even now, sometimes if I'm really deep in prayer, I can feel his presence around. And so I really believed our loved ones never really leave us, but they take care of us and will stay with us. If I can share one more story, it's, a few weeks ago I shared about how Mikuni and I got engaged, got together and then blessed in marriage. But what I didn't share at that time was, I think around the time of our blessing, a close friend of mine reached out to me. And she's what we would call maybe spiritually open, right? Or someone who can kind of see or interact, right, with spirits or the spirit world. I myself am not spiritually open. I'm a very physical person, but she is, and she contacted me and she kind of asked me, does your mom like talk to your brother? Does she pray to him? Did she ask him to help you find a spouse? Is what she asked me. And I wasn't sure, like my mom would sometimes say in passing, like, oh yeah, I'm sure your brother will help you find someone good, But I asked my mom, and it turned out my mom had. She would kind of like pray or talk to my older brother and ask for help in finding a good person. And my friend said, okay, that makes sense, because what he told me was, as Mama requested, I helped. As Mama requested, I helped. So because my mom made this particular request, he helped me. And I guess the good person he found was Mikuni. So yeah, I felt his presence throughout my life in these kind of ways in helping me. And I think because of that, it always gave me this firm belief that the spirit world is real and they affect us. And it also gave me this feeling always that my action or my life wasn't my own. But in some ways, I also do it for my older brother, right? Or we're doing it together. And recently, we celebrated also the life of Mikuni's grandma, as she shared last week. And in our movement, we call it a sangwa, right? So more than a funeral, it's more like a celebration of life. Celebration of life. And during that time, I was reminded of a quote from True Father that's in the Divine Principle. And this is how he describes the spirit world. Okay. He says, most people are attached to their earthly life. They regret its passing because due to the fall, they are ignorant of the fact that after they discard their clothes of flesh, they are meant to live forever in the beautiful and eternal spirit world. The transition from physical life to life in the spirit world may be compared to the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. If the caterpillar had self-awareness, it might feel the same attachment to its limited existence, climbing about the leaves of a plant as people do to their earthly life. It too would probably be reluctant to end its existence as a caterpillar, unaware that it is destined to enter a new phase of life as a butterfly, when it will enjoy fragrant flowers and sweet nectar to its heart's content. The relationship between earthly existence and the life of a spirit is akin to the relationship of caterpillar and butterfly. Moreover, if there had been no fall, earthly people would be able to relate with spirits just as naturally as they relate among themselves. They would know that death is not the final departure from their loved ones on earth. If people knew what a beautiful and happy world they will enter after they attain perfection on earth and die a natural death, they would look forward eagerly to the day they enter that world. So this is how the spirit world is described in the Divine Principle. And actually, when I was hearing this, I kind of thought of it as like our kind of the transition of our life from here to the spirit world is like a graduation. You're graduating and you're opened up to this bigger world. But yeah, our true Father describes it. It's like a metamorphosis, becoming a butterfly. And I also really like the analogy of it's like childbirth. Recently, Tatemoto-san's here. They had a baby, their first baby 2 weeks ago. Amazing cycle of life. But when a baby's in the womb is like its whole world, right? It's comfortable there. Your mom's taking care of you. And I've heard in childbirth, it's actually traumatic for the baby. They have no idea what's going on, right? But they don't know that actually after childbirth, there's a family waiting for them, right? There's this whole world for them to explore and love and see. And I think it's the same too when we pass away. It's like we don't know, but there's actually people waiting for us who love us very much. And there's this whole new world to explore, right? A bigger one. And so, of course, I'm not saying this to expedite us going there. We want to go at the right time, live life to the fullest. But that it's meant to be really beautiful, once it is our time. And I think another concept our true parents have really taught us is the spirit world is very much alive and wants to help us. And actually, in what way it wants to help us especially is in building what we say is this kingdom of heaven on earth, right? Or this ideal world. If this is a new concept to you, welcome to our movement. We are a movement that really believes we can build this ideal world. We believe we can do it. And we strive to practically do that, right? How to build a better world of peace and happiness. And so I imagine a spirit world, right, that can't experience that until we can, right, that's closer to God, can feel God's heart even more than us, would actually, more than us, want to build this world, right, this ideal world. And so, yeah, in preparing for today, I actually found this quote from our true mother that really inspired me about this point. And that was, "Today we live our lives with a keen sense of the spirit world. When you reach the necessary standard to connect to the spirit world, it will work through you 100%. You need to live, breathe, and work with such a sense of responsibility. Once you can do that, the spirit world will cooperate with you 100%. Our hope, as well as the hope of the spirit world, is the kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven. That is Chanoguk. Shouldn't we be greatly excited, joyous, and thankful to think that we can achieve this during our lifetime? If you truly sense this in your everyday lives, how could you possibly sit still and do nothing? You could not help but work hard. Our goal extends beyond Foundation Day, for we need to bring the marriage blessing to all humanity. We need to make them all citizens of Chanoguk. If you live your lives in such a way that your yesterday is no different from your today, you cannot receive the cooperation of the spirit world. You need to know what it actually feels like to make a resolution at the risk of your life and to dedicate your heart and soul to your mission. You need to practice such a way of life. You need to become people who report to heaven every day and who work together with heaven." So these are Mother's words on working together with the spirit world. And actually, I think there's a lot to kind of unravel in what she's saying here. So I condensed it all, into one slide and some key points. First, she starts off with this keen sense of the spirit world, right? How much do we really feel the spirit world is real and alive? If we knew the reality of the spirit world of God's heart, how would we live our life? So much of our life is honestly run by physical things, right? We have to work, and for a lot of people, work is 8 hours a day, plus driving. We have to pay bills. There's even just cooking food and then, sleeping. There are all these things we have to do to take care of our physical body, our physical life. So there's actually not too much time after that. And I was thinking about, recently our true mother has also really been emphasizing these kind of prayers in the Chunchimon, in our special prayer group, where we would come and pray. And, I think there's a deeper meaning to that, but I found that at least for me, in doing those prayers, I get this daily reminder that beyond the physical things or beyond what I deal with in life, there's something so much greater, and there's something so much more critical, right? And it's the constant reminder that's needed, right? Even sometimes I pray at night, and then you wake up in the morning, and it's a battle again to remind yourself, right? It's this kind of like daily battle we go through. But this living with this keen sense of the spirit world. And then she says we need to live with a sense of responsibility. Then the spirit world will help us 100%. And I think that makes sense, right? If you were a spirit and you were going to help someone, it's like, would you help the person actually taking action or the one stuck on their couch, right? It's like a pretty obvious choice. But I think also that the spirit world really wants to help us, and especially if we're helping God's will. And so if we knew this, could we sit still, right? Could we sit still? And I think the spirit world's help comes in many different ways, right? Sometimes it's meeting the right person at the right time and place. Sometimes it's having an inspiration, or if some of you have that like gut or intuition feeling you feel sometimes, a lot of times actually that's the spirit world trying to help us, inspire us, and move us. Or if do any of you get dreams where you feel like you meet someone or someone tells you something important? Yeah. Yeah, I know Mr. Bencourt does. He tells me about his dreams sometimes. But yeah, in all of these ways, right, is the spirit world helping us. And I think we further strengthen that when we do have spiritual experiences. But yeah, so if we do that, then could we sit still and do nothing? And I think this is also a really valuable point. You know, if we're inspired, right, by oftentimes Mother will say spirit and truth, then actually it should inspire action. It should translate actually into something substantial. This is something actually our Mother was emphasizing with the prayer vigils. So it started in Korea, but then around the world, communities all over are doing these prayer vigils. And from that, amazing testimonies were coming out. You know, people who had really incredible experiences with God, or they had deep prayers and could make a breakthrough, or, you know, they could change their mindset about things. And when Mother heard that, actually what she responded with is, it's the start, but actually the way you can really tell if transformation is happening, or the way you can really tell it's working, is if in the results it changes, right? We see a substantial change. And I really believe that to be true, right? It's like we can have many deep experiences and they're important. They're really important, but they get solidified or really mean something when we change because of it, right? We change our lifestyle, change our actions, or she talks about results, right? Even in the way that, like, what comes about because of it. And so I think this is her part of, if you live in such a way that your yesterday is no different from today. So that actually, because of our experiences, we should be changing the way we live, our lifestyle. Yeah, and I think that's really important. If we get into this routine in our life of faith, right, we hit this internal stagnancy or complacency, it's hard. But continually growing every day, even if it's a little bit, right, then the spirit will actually really help us and be with us. And I think it comes to that last point of, please report to heaven every day and work together with heaven. And I've heard actually that's part of the reason the prayer vigils are at nighttime. The idea of it is you can offer up your day to God. So you offer up your victories, or if you had shortcomings, even offering repentance. And then you can pray for the next day. And this is something I've been trying to do too, is like, if I know, I'm meeting someone the next day at 1 p.m., I'll pray about it and I'll tell God, I'm meeting this person at 1 p.m. in this spot. Please be there with us, or please meet us there. And of course, God is always with us, but I think it's this mindset of we're doing everything with heaven, right? Or we're inviting God into everything we do, big or small, right? Even if it's a casual meeting with a friend. But this mindset of I'm not relying on myself, right? Because it's so easy to rely on my own capabilities or my own limitations. But in that mindset of including God or heaven, I think we can go beyond our limitations. And so, yeah, just one last quote I wanted to share from our true Father. This is 2006. Was Father says, "From now on, if you don't understand the spirit world, it will be difficult for you to live a life of faith on your own for the rest of your life. I came to know the life of faith in the spirit world at an early age, and therefore, even if I received the kind of opposition from the world that would turn the entire world upside down, I continued to pioneer God's will until today. It is because the spirit world is a world of absolute certainty. So no matter how much the world opposed me, I was not able to quit. That is why I was able to promote and advance God's will." And yeah, I think if you just look at Father's life, right, how much accusations or how much difficulty Father went through, but still kept going, you can see he did really live by that. But I think it's true in this situation we see right now, right? Like Tenseng was sharing in Korea, or what we see in the media. Like if we just look at what's happening to our true mother, we just read what we see in front of us, it can feel so tough. Right? Like what do we do? But I really believe it's with this awareness of the spirit world. It's with this awareness that we can move forward. And we can see there are bigger things happening beyond this reality. I really believe it's a law in the spirit world that just like it is here, spring always follows winter, or there's always, right, the morning breaks after the darkest part of the night. That, yeah, if we can look beyond the reality, then we can really see and pioneer through. And so, yeah, even though we believe in the spirit world, right, or we know it exists, how much do we really live that and believing that it's real? And yeah, I think striving to have those encounters with God, right? Whether it's you confronting God in a bathroom for whatever reason in the mirror, or it's right through our prayers, or even coming to service. I think that's really also a big thing. But to remember that we're never alone in what we do, I think that's the biggest thing. We're never alone. And so, yeah, I just wanted to close off with, I think Mikuni did a really good job already, but we wanted to end with an invitation to this Saturday's Chumbo workshop. Many of us maybe have been to many Chumbo events already, or Chongpyeong events, and, maybe it feels like it's the same thing over and over. The Cheongyang hasn't changed. But I really believe Providence is always moving forward. And actually, in the last 10 years, it's really moved forward a lot. So our scope and our understanding of the spirit world also grows. So I feel there's a lot to learn, and we're gonna have Ryushi Kishimoto, the director, coming. And if you know him, he's a very direct person. He's super honest. He's British, so he's pretty direct. So if you have questions about the spirit world, you can ask him, and he'll answer. I trust he'll answer really sincerely. But yeah, so there's that. But I think even bigger than that is actually just the environment we want to create. Our true parents invested a lot into this work because they really wanted to create an environment where we could be citizens of this ideal world. That in trying to create, kingdom of God on earth and heaven, that we would be people who can live there and be ready for that. And part of it is, I think, really spiritually clearing ourselves, right? Spiritually clearing ourselves, and then being able to connect with or communicate with our spirits or ancestors. And I'm not saying you'll see ghosts or you'll see things or anything like that. I'm saying more so an encounter with God, right? This deep experience with God. And so, yeah, I think it's really just a space to focus on that, right? And so it's our first time having it here in San Diego, so that's also special that we don't have to drive so far. They're coming to us, so we really are grateful for them. But yeah, I think it's a valuable environment we want to create, and I know it can be incredibly powerful. I won't guarantee it, it's different for everyone and there's God's timing, but I know it can be incredibly powerful, and it has been for me. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of end there. So about the spirit world, how we can get its help, and yeah, from here we can go into pair share. Wow, the spirit world is working now. But yeah, if you'd like to turn to the person next to you and just share whatever's on your heart from the message today, and we'll do that for the next few minutes.